Hey, it's Josh here. I just want to take a quick second before we get started to express our gratitude and appreciation to anyone who's listening, whether you're consuming this by download, whether you're listening on our website or following us on Instagram or TikTok, however that is. We thank you. Doing that lets us know, hey, that there's somebody out there. And as long as we're entertaining one person, then it just makes everything worth it. So on behalf of myself and everyone here at Game Rage, thank you. All right, now enjoy the show.
Welcome to the dumbest smart guy podcast on the planet. This is the Central Unintelligence Podcast.
All right, here we go. We are once more in the hot seat with the Central Unintelligence Podcast. This is episode 11. As always, I'm Josh, and I'm here with Adam.
Howdy.
I'm also here with Frank.
What's up?
And today we have some, interesting things to talk about. It's one of those things. Obviously, I'm referring to the most recent items that happened, which is the Israel and Palestine deal that's been going on. But I want to further, or before we start talking about that, I just want to, clarify that we are idiots and we're dumb. It's called the Central Intelligence Podcast for a reason. So we try to do, or at least I tried to do, a little bit of research before talking about this. And I mean, I did find out some pretty interesting things because the one thing that everybody fucking talks about when talking about this is I don't think they understand the historical significance or just the history at all behind the whole Palestine-Israel, what is that? Like a paradigm, I guess, or whatever. So, anyways, so did you guys, before we get into that though, did anybody have any other topics that they wanted to discuss?
I don't think it's anything in particular, but it's kind of an amazing topic that has divided a lot of people.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it has.
Like in San Diego, there was protest in favor of Palestine, and also in favor of Israel, and both parties were at this space. Yeah, and it turned into a bit of a skirmish.
Yeah, and I've seen that across the whole world, really, not just here in the U.S., but just everywhere. It's been, this is the hot button issue, and this is it's one of those things where it's hard for people to separate the facts of the matter with, because it's ideology. It's a religious divide, essentially.
And obviously, if there is blood relatives involved, you're gonna be pissed if one of them dies or whatever.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's gonna make it even more fucking personal for you, but even people that aren't involved, that don't have any skin in the game, as they say, it's they don't have anybody there, that kind of stuff. They're just providing their opinions on the issue. Yeah. Again, it is very divisive, and I don't think people on either side that don't have skin in the game really understand how it got to this point. Because it's not like this shit just been happening over the last 15 or 20 years. It's literally been going on it's going on for centuries, but in the Middle East, this whole problem with Jerusalem and the Holy Land and who wants it, who doesn't want it, but just specifically between the Israelis or the Jewish community over there and the Arabs or the Muslim community over there, that's been going on for 100 fucking years about this specific issue with this patch of land that is referred to as the country of Israel, right? The geographic area. And it's fucking crazy how people, I mean, like you were saying earlier about the, what's her name?
Mia Khalifa?
Yeah. I mean, she's like a porn star. So honestly, who cares what the fuck she thinks about this?
I don't understand why she got punished for what position
Because basically she got taken off of the Playboy version of OnlyFans, right? That's kind of...
I think that's what it basically is.
And it was because of she stated whatever her opinion was. And I mean, I think she's...
But even regardless of what her opinion is, that's her opinion. Why is there repercussions for...
It's not like she's the first person to be canceled for placing her opinion.
That's true, I guess, but... I mean, why... And that's what I don't understand is why is this issue the thing that they're... Oh, if you... And that's the one thing, too, that I don't... And okay, before we go down this road with it, I also just want to say that there's going to be a lot of things in this podcast that are that are historically accurate. I looked them up. I did the research. And then there's going to be things that are separate from that, which are, opinions, right? Or conclusions that are drawn based on the facts and, you're drawing a conclusion or basing your opinion on that. So it's not like there's going to be a 100% opinion-free way to do this. I think in talking about the historical context, we will do our best quote-unquote journalistic approach to, approaching it from a fact-based...
okay, so she
what'd you say?
She's in support of Hamas.
Okay, well, again,
but even then, it's a free fucking country, dude.
Correct. As Americans, that is what we base we have the whole First Amendment to have freedom of speech. Now, I guess that goes both ways. So if someone doesn't like what you say, they can remove you from whatever they are doing, which is not very supportive of free speech. Obviously, it's just being restrictive. If the government's not going to restrict your speech or can't restrict your speech, then I don't think companies should be allowed to either.
Well, I mean, technically, I guess when it comes to a company, they create the...
Well, yeah, they create the terms, but I mean, is there a term that says you can't be a Hamas supporter?
I don't know.
But, I don't know.
But if you're I don't know how the terms of service or whatever, what kind of agreements she made with them, but would there be something in that says if their alignments, alignments they have or ideologies they have are not in agreement with Playboy? Yeah, Playboy's platform, could that...
And then this is where that whole slippery slope kind of happens, is because this is ideology-based, it's essentially Muslim versus Jew, right? That's essentially what this boils down to. So if you're a Muslim and you support the Muslim side, well, then you're anti-Semitic. If you are a Jew and you support the Jewish side, then you must be hating Muslims, right? That's basically what it comes down to. And I think that's why people are so divisive on this, because nobody's just saying oh, why can't you just support a side but not have to take the extreme version of that? You know what I'm saying?
Or you could say both are fucking wrong.
I mean, my opinion of the matter is, in this instance, as we go down and we look at and analyze what has happened over the last 6 days or 5 days since this happened, I think we will see that both sides, yes, objectively looking at it through a clear lens, are wrong. They're both incorrect in how they handled and have responded to a multitude of things. And none of it has to do with fucking religion. None of it has to do with that. It has to do with people making shitty decisions and retaliating against each other because they've had 1,000-year blood feud, essentially. So,
yeah.
I mean, obviously, this is like the steel cage match, the Hell in a Cell version. This is like the feud. Now this is the payoff match or whatever. This is like the no holds barred, anything goes fucking version of that. To equate it to wrestling, I guess.
Yeah.
But
I will say the one thing that's funny. It's funny that she takes that position because I think these people would have her killed.
Oh yeah,
these.
Oh, for sure.
This group known as Hamas would definitely have her killed. It's interesting that she is in favor of them, or even that she took an opinion at all. I mean, that is true. You don't have to risk your own hide for
right, and that's where I think that it just comes down to people supporting people that maintain a similar ideology. I think that's what it comes down to, regardless of if you actually looked into it. And Hamas would probably have her stoned in the streets for fucking being, a porn star or whatever.
I mean, look what they're doing to the Jewish women they captured.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. It's. I'm sure that. Well, I mean, but if you look at it objectively, that's the enemy. So, not that I'm saying it's right, but an argument could be made for them seeing, oh, well, this is the enemy, but like she's one of their own, right? Like she's one of them. So I think they'd fucking still do that shit to her anyways, because it's like you fucked up and broke the rules.
But the thing is, like, when you stop separating combatants and civilians,
right?
There's no gray area anymore.
Well, no, then everything becomes gray area.
Well, that's what this is. What the media is allowing us to see,
right?
It's showing a lot of Palestinians or whatever you want to call them executing and killing a bunch of people.
Yeah,
it's our supposedly civilians,
right?
But I mean, it's not fair to overgeneralize and say that all Palestinians are. Well, I mean, it could be very well be that let's say 60% of them actually support Hamas, but 40% of them would be like innocent bystanders. They're just
10 or 15% of them are the actual people committing or in the club of the Hamas or the biker gang or whatever, the gang of Hamas or whatever, the organization.
But I mean, shit, dude. What if there's just as many Israelis that don't give a shit about?
No, there is.
I'm sure.
For the last 20 years, have proven that.
Yeah. And what mean?
Well, internally, Israel's has been pretty
killing Palestinians on a daily basis.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about them at all. But I think that what you're saying is about there's people within the Israeli side that don't care, that hate their own government.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
don't give a shit. They just want to be left alone to live their lives, right?
Yeah, I mean, or that don't even support Netanyahu.
Yeah,
altogether,
right?
Like,
I'm sure most of the people a lot of the people that I saw that were dead, that were on the border, that were sitting at bus stops, that Hamas rolled in and just started killing them. They looked like they were kind of elderly. Like, I'm sure they probably didn't give two shits. They're definitely not out there committing fucking acts against the Palestinians. They're old. They're probably retired. They probably just wanted to live out the rest of their days chilling. Yeah. And they got rolled up in a fucking in an attack. So which sucks. But
all right, just go into the history. That way we can
let's get that out of the way so we can then provide more commentary. So, okay, historically, this basically whole thing kind of started 100 years ago, back during World War I. And essentially what ended up happening is the British were trying to get the Arabs who were occupying the zone that is kind of considered the borders of Israel today. They were basically, it was owned by the Ottoman Turks. And so they were trying to get the Arabs to do basically a revolution and rise up against the Ottomans and kick them out so that they didn't have to commit resources there to remove them. They said, hey, if you guys do this, we are going to basically recognize your independence and we're going to give you guys your own like state. And so the Arabs said, hell yeah, that sounds like a fucking good time. And they went ahead and they fucking rebelled against the Ottomans, kicked them out. And after World War I was done and settled, the British basically said, "Oh yeah, here you go. Here's your area. We're going to give it to you. It's called Mandatory Palestine, is what it became known as, and we'll let you have it." And then a couple years later, in the 1920s, the British decided that the Arabs really shouldn't be allowed to govern themselves in that area. So they said, we're gonna just kind of help you guys out, and you're just going to be like an heir of the state, essentially, or a piece of the state of the Kingdom of Britain, right? So that's kind of what it turned into. And throughout that time, obviously, Jerusalem, the holy land of pretty much the big three religions, was rolled in part of that. So the people who were the Jewish people who lived in the area, they were not happy that the Arabs were basically allowed to be kind of running it. So they essentially kind of started their own organizations to resist and fight against the, quote unquote, oppressors, which were the British at the time, and the Arabs as well. So all the way up through World War II, the Jewish organizations had basically been like committing, acts of aggression and violence against the British Crown. They assassinated a couple of the officials that had been sent by Britain there. One of them, they kidnapped and assassinated one of the dudes who was the British Middle Eastern director or whatever it was called. Like I forget what it was, there was like a term for it, but it was basically the guy who was in charge of the Middle East. The king basically puts him in charge, or not that was how they did it, but like that, it was that guy that was appointed to be in charge of the Middle East territories that Britain or the United Kingdom or whatever owned. So basically, they sat down and said, okay, after World War II, we kind of like really need to give the Jews their own place. So the U.S. and the UN, the newly founded UN, kind of started this whole process and this commission to kind of analyze and figure out what it is that they can do. And so the best option that they came up with was to basically split the land that is basically the area of Israel and turn it into 50-50. It was going to be given 50% to the Arabs to run and 50% to the Jews to run. And Jerusalem was going to be carved out and said that it was going to be like essentially a United Nations district that was going to be solely run by the United Nations, and the Jews or the Arabs would not control it. And one of the things that Truman said, because he was president at the time, he said that, yes, this is the great plan because no Jew shall hold dominion over Arab and no Arab shall hold dominion over Jew. This is like the most fair plan that we could have came up with. So everybody was in favor of it. And then the Jewish organizations didn't like it. They thought it was bullshit. The Arabs also thought it was bullshit. So the Jewish organizations basically started committing acts of terror against like any establishment that was around there. And so through negotiation and one way or the other, the deal ended up getting turned around. And so the deal ended up becoming 68% for the Jewish state, and then 32% was going to be allocated to the Arabs to control of the area. So that was what everybody refers to in 1948 was when Israel was founded. And basically when you hear about on the news or you hear anybody talking about this shit, that's always when they start at when this whole conflict started because the Jewish people were given their own state. And this is why the Arabs are so mad. Well, if you look back historically, previous to that, they're not giving you the context as to why they're pissed off. And they're pissed off because essentially in that area, the Arabs owned 90% of the land, basically, and then about 10% of it was owned by Jewish people in that Israel area prior to this whole thing happening. So essentially, the UN stole a bunch of their land and just gave it to some other people. And so obviously that pisses them off, right? So you go to 1948 when this whole thing happens, 68% of it's allocated to Israel. They have it. Then all the other Arabs are pissed. So Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon, they all get together and say, hey, this is fucked up. We're going to do something about this. So they invade the 62% that is given to Israel. This was the first Israeli-Arab war. It lasted about 9 months. They fucking fought hard, crazy, but the Israelis ended up winning. And so during that time, the Israelis ended up walking away with 78%. They took 10% more as saying like, hey, fuck you, you wanted to attack us. Well, guess what? In the treaty we're negotiating, we're getting more land now. So they got 78%. So now it's essentially come down to over the last 70 years that Israel, or 75 years that Israel has existed as a state, is they've been attacked, things have happened, and in the treaties they've always basically taken more land every single time, to where now in this state, and well, I don't remember exactly when the Gaza Strip was the last piece. It was probably like I think in the early 2000s, but essentially the Gaza Strip was basically given and said, all right, this is pretty much it. You guys can have this little spot, which from what I've been able to look at, it's essentially the similar size to Manhattan in terms. It's like the city of, or it's like Manhattan or whatever in New York, where it's a very small like area, but it's very heavily densely populated. There's like several million people that live there, and they're all basically Arabs. And so essentially Israel controls everything that goes on in this state, which is the Gaza Strip. Some people recognize it as a country of Palestine, and there's a lot of other countries that don't recognize it as a country. So basically, that's where we get to where we're at today. And essentially on Saturday morning, I think it was, their time, the fucking Hamas, which is the organization that has kind of been considered, I guess, like a military type wing of the Palestinian government, quote unquote, they launched an attack into Israel, and they basically sent guys in via hang glider, via fucking what was the other thing that they used? The
they were seaborne too.
Yeah, they came in they literally came in by land, air, and sea, and they infiltrated the border. Which one of the things that I didn't realize is that Israel is actually that fence that's along Israel and the quote unquote Gaza border or whatever. Mm-hmm. It is like the most advanced border system ever on the planet. It is extremely highly technological. There's so many cameras, there's sensors, there's all kinds of crazy shit there for them to know if something like this is happening. Mm-hmm. And so, not really sure I'm still not really sure exactly how that was bypassed, but for whatever reason that got bypassed. These dudes made entry into the country, and they just basically started killing people and started killing cops, started killing fucking obviously innocent civilians, doing crazy, horrible things. They started kidnapping people and taking them back into Gaza. And there are still several hundred, if not into the thousands, of people that have been kidnapped and are chilling, or not chilling, but they're fucking held captive back in Gaza. So the initial attack, the military of Israel didn't really respond for the first probably 6 to 7 hours. They didn't have any response. And then all of a sudden, okay, they start getting their shit together, and they start doing a counteroffensive. And essentially it's still happening today here 5 days later, where they're bombing fucking Gaza, and they've now encroached into Lebanon, which is to the north of Israel, because Gaza is essentially in the southern part. Okay, so on their southern border, they essentially have this incursion, right? So you would think, all right, they're sending some stuff up north to kind of help it out, to prepare in case Hezbollah, which is the terrorist organization that runs out of Lebanon and Syria, essentially, to their north. They were concerned that, hey, maybe these guys are going to come in and start, they're going to try to fuck around, right? And come in and get us. So they sent some dudes up there. They were chilling. Everything was kind of fine. And then I guess I found out about this fucking, it's literally called the Hezbollah tent. And it's just this fucking tent that's on the border. And it's a contested little hill that has pissed everybody off for the last fucking 40 years, that Israel says they own it. Lebanon says they own it. Hezbollah says they own it. So Hezbollah set up this, it's basically like an easy up. It looks like a fucking easy up with some camouflage netting on it, and they've been using it as a quote unquote mortar position. So I guess the reports were mixed as to whether or not the Hezbollah tent started firing first, or if Israel started firing first. But essentially, the tent gets fucking destroyed. They just fucking annihilate the tent, and then Hezbollah says, "All right, this is bullshit." Starts fucking launching rockets. So now today, a few days later, the rocket attacks and the physical incursions of ground troops have actually been coming from Hezbollah up in the north. So now Israel is essentially fighting a two-front war within their own country. And that sucks for them, obviously, because they're fighting essentially an ideology, and you're fighting basically everyone else that's surrounding you, which is what it's probably, I think, going to eventually maybe turn into. But then where it stands with us, with the U.S., we basically have sent the USS Gerald Ford aircraft carrier group over there, and they're just getting there now, and they're there for humanitarian aid, which basically the carrier group has essentially one aircraft carrier, two not destroyers, because they have 6 destroyers with them, and then they have 2 cruisers with them, and then an unknown number of submarines. All right, that's actually classified from what I found out, that, and it's classified if there even is any submarines with them. But usually there, from what I've read, that there is. So you've got that amount of firepower over there, right? Just chilling in case something happens, which I'm of the opinion that in case something happens is in case Iran decides to go ahead and fucking do something. Because as it's come out and been reported, essentially Hamas was given the green light by Iran to go ahead and do this. And so one of the things that I kind of wanted to to get into a little bit is with fucking. I know. Every time we talk about some shit, it always ends up going back to China, right? But really, if you connect the dots, it kind of does. This is kind of where it goes. Is it goes from Iran basically giving them the green light. And one of the funniest things that I saw, I don't even know if it's funny or not, but the second this fucking shit started happening with Hamas invading Israel, the literal government of fucking Iran, like I don't know if it's like a parliament or whatever the fuck they have there, but they're all in the chambers or whatever, and they're just fucking dancing and you'd think they would have chanted death to Israel first, but no, they chanted death to America first. And then they decided to say the death to Israel part. So it got me thinking, and I was just like, I don't know if Iran if they understand what that means to challenge us, to challenge America. Because, I mean, I can tell you right now, they don't want this smoke. They don't fucking want us to fucking come in.
This is your opinion, by the way.
Yes, this part's my opinion.
Like this part, this last 2 to 3 minutes. This is your opinion. That's my opinion.
This is my opinion on the issue.
No, I 100% believe that the U.S. actually did shit Iran would be a fucking parking lot.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is I think that Iran would if they wanted to fuck with us, we would end up basically giving the Middle East to Disney and making fucking Disneyland Middle East, and Iran would become the fucking parking lot. And then any of the fucks who would be just so unfortunate enough to survive, if they lived, they would spend the rest of their fucking days dressed like the monkey from fucking Aladdin selling churros at the Disneyland Middle East, okay? That is exactly what the fuck they would be doing. And they don't want none of that. They don't want to fuck with us unless someone else is protecting them. And that's where we get into the China part, where obviously Iran is set to become a member of BRICS January 1st, 2024. The country of Palestine is also on that list of people set to become BRICS members. Hamas is in quote-unquote Palestine. Now, obviously, the Chinese fucking recognize Palestine because it pisses us off because we don't recognize it as a state. And we recognize Taiwan as a state, and it pisses them off. So this is the tit for tat right there. But if China is telling Iran, hey, again, because China has as we've talked about in the past, they have no force projection power. They cannot say that they can defend everybody from across the planet. So they got to set up proxies. They got to set up people who are countries who can run little zones in their area. So, hey, Iran's the first Middle Eastern country to be put into BRICS, essentially. Hey, you guys want to bend the knee? Cool. You guys are going to be the proxy in the Middle East, and we will fucking back you up, and you can do whatever you please. And, we will, as long as you perform our will that we want done in the Middle East, you guys can basically just have dominion to do what you want. And obviously, one of the things that they want done is they want to get rid of Israel. They want to get all the Jews out. That's what fucking, it's clear that's what they want. That's what they've wanted for fucking decades. And it's obvious that that's kind of, to me, what's happening. And so I think that China, since they've already embroiled us in this fucking money pit known as the war in the Ukraine, but it's unfortunately a necessary money pit, because if we don't spend the money, if we don't do that, then the Russians would eventually fucking steamroll them. And then that puts us in a bad position. That puts NATO in a bad position. So I don't necessarily think that, I think that the plan, if that is the plan on China's part, it's genius, because you're slowly doing this whole death by 1,000 cuts deal, and you're just depleting our resources quickly and efficiently. And then now you're going to get us to, because again, if Israel gets fucked with by an actual country, if they attack them, we're going in. Like, there is no doubt in my mind. We have literally said from the beginning, we stand with Israel no matter what, and we will back them out no matter what, which means if they get attacked by, let's say, Iran or some other country around there, yeah, we're going in. And we're going to be, maybe not boots on the ground, but we're going to be at least providing air support or resources to, blow shit up over there. So if we do that, now we're militarily involved in the region, and now that kind of leaves up some options here. If we're going to invest more resources, because now we're also, that's one of the things I said today, was that we would be sending an additional aircraft carrier group over there, or we're debating sending an additional aircraft carrier. So now you want to put 2 carrier groups over there just for this conflict? That means that there's likely a bigger scenario or a bigger picture happening here. And it just, I don't know, it just fucking, it just seems a little too convenient that oh, now this stuff's all happening. And also, another thing that, I know I'm going on a rant here, but like, another thing that's a little fucking too convenient is, you remember that just 4 days before, or 5 days before, we had that fucking emergency alert test or whatever, you remember? Yeah. That everybody was so fucking convinced that, oh, it's the 5G that's going to give us all the zombie virus from the fucking COVID shots and all this shit. And you had everybody fucking distracted by debating about this nonsense. And then the same day, Russia tests its nuclear alert system or whatever to like its civilians. They did it the same fucking day. So it's just a little fucking convenient and a little weird that happens all, and then 4 days, 5 days later, oh, this shit, potentially the spark that could ignite to turn World War III hot, I guess, as you could say, happens. So I just find it a little fucking weird. I don't know. Am I reading into that too much, or I don't know. What do you guys think about? Do you have an opinion about that?
I mean, the timing is extremely convenient.
True.
As far as like the China stuff goes, I don't know if I don't think it's a stretch, because again, we know that there is an economic alliance known as BRICS.
Right, yeah.
And they're adding additional members who happen to be these Arab nations.
Yeah.
That include
Iran and
Egypt.
Yeah.
I forgot who else was included.
UAE.
Oh yeah, the UAE.
United
I think
Arab
Qatar
Emirates.
is also fucking joining on board.
No, it's not. It's Ethiopia.
Well, that's
Ethiopia. But it's many of the Arab nations.
Right, yeah.
Saudi Arabia, I think, is one of them as well.
Yeah.
But this would be a convenient endeavor for China to have this be a... Would it work out to their advantage for all parties involved with BRICS? Absolutely, because it means that Iran and all the other Arab nations could potentially eliminate Israel in this moment. And it also increases the power of each of those nations within that region as a stronghold, like as them being a united front, right?
Yeah.
And then China gets what it wants because it's like, oh, our allies are benefiting, therefore we
will benefit as well.
Yeah.
And then also you get to give essentially, you potentially get to give the great Satan America a fucking black eye. Yeah. Because if you wipe Israel off the map, that's not going to look good on us. That's a bad look for us. We will look fucking extremely weak if Israel loses whatever is about to happen, or whatever continues to happen.
I don't know. Maybe the onus, or maybe the maybe if there were to be a way to shift blame, it could possibly be the UK, because maybe they're more directly responsible for what happened, as opposed we came in the second part of this story.
Right, but what I'm saying is it makes us look weak because we have essentially been Israel's staunchest ally.
Yes.
And we'll, again, we give them, like me and Frank were talking about earlier, like I was saying, oh, we give them our like second tier shit, and then he was like, well, no, we give them our third tier shit, because the second tier shit is the shit that's good that everybody knows about, and then the top tier is the shit that's top secret that nobody gets. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. So, but Israel gets F-35s. They get fucking all of our advanced technology that we give out, or that we let people buy. And Israel does have its own military-industrial complex that they modeled essentially off of ours. They make their own tanks. Their economy is very heavily based on military equipment and producing their own, like I said, military-industrial complex. Now, granted, some of it's not that great, but it's better than what most of the rest of the world has. But again, if we give them our shit, which we've already done, we've already sent the first shipment of weaponry over there. We've already sent them $8 or $10 billion in cash. So we're going to be propping them up throughout this whole thing. But if they just get fucking piled on, we're going to have to get involved to bail them out. Because if we don't, then like I said, that's going to make us look weak. And as we saw with Russia and the Ukraine, Russia turned out to be a fucking straight paper tiger. And if you look at our military and how it's been set up over the last 20 years, we've kind of gone away from being an actual like conventional military force to essentially becoming an anti-terrorist focused military. We've been counterinsurgencying everything. So not to say that we can't perform in regular conventional combat.
We will learn very quickly.
Right, we will learn very quickly, but there is going to be a learning curve to switch from our military doctrine of counterinsurgency to regular conventional warfare, and that is going to be what's going to give some people the fucking, like, if Israel goes down, they're going to be like, oh, they're weak. Like, ooh, good, now we can do what we want elsewhere. And it's going to take us a minute to get after it, but that's going to give them the opening to try to do it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Sorry, you're going to say something, Frank?
I lost it.
Oh, all right.
In the meantime, while you were talking,
Yeah.
because I was kind of curious why some of the countries. I do think it's rather interesting. So,
yeah,
at least from what I saw on a map, referring to the Gaza Strip, is that this is all like a fortified space. They're like Palestinians are essentially prisoners, right?
Right. Yeah.
And that's not to say that I support them or anything like that. I'm just painting a picture for you.
We're just talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it is interesting that all these Arab nations are not open to having Palestinians as refugees, and that includes Egypt, who is directly like landlocked with Israel itself on the south, right?
Right.
So I was looking into the Lebanon Civil War.
Yeah.
And apparently there were Palestinians that were there because the war itself was basically between Christians, what they were called Maronite Christians, and then there was Muslim groups. There was the Shiites and there was the Sunnis.
Yeah.
So a war broke out in the kind of during the Cold War era where the Christians were in alignment with the Western worlds or Western nations, and then the Muslims were in alignment with
the Arab,
Russia.
Russia with the communists. Okay.
So then a war broke out, and apparently there were sides that were flipping like throughout the war, so it was kind of hard to keep track of, and Palestinians were in the mix. So like, I think the reason that Lebanese don't want Palestinians is because they're afraid that it could provoke another civil war within their own country, and I'm sure that would be the case for other countries as well. Is that if they bring refugees into, say, like, you know, the United Arab Emirates or even Syria or whatever, they're like, oh shit, well, if we have this group of people, we know they're shit starters or whatever. I mean, that's not fair to them. Maybe that's not the right word, but I think with any country that takes in refugees, it's hard to deal with that situation, to treat them fairly, but also to, I don't know, man, like, how do you, it's a tough situation to make of.
Yeah. And that's kind of the fucking, when you think about it that way too, you look at the hypocrisy of the other Middle Eastern nations, because it's like, okay, this is you having your cake and eating it too, right? Where you can say, oh, these poor refugees, they're getting fucking murdered by the Israelis. Okay, well, if you feel so bad for them, why don't you let them fucking come live in your country freely and open up to themselves and do their fucking things, right?
Yeah, and I think, at least from what I read or I understood, is that I think Egypt is actually going to allow refugees from Gaza to enter, but they're only going to allow like 2,000 people at a time.
Yeah, well, you want to know
for an extended period of time.
Yeah, well, you want to know what's funny about that?
What?
I read earlier today that it's this thing called the Rafah crossing, which is the major entry point from Gaza into Egypt.
Okay.
And the Israelis have been bombing it.
Oh, okay. So then
that's like off the table. I think. Like, I think that they're just blowing it up, and I don't know if it's because they think that there's terrorists that are, or Hamas members that are moving into Egypt so they can get safe haven, because no one, once you make it to Egypt, Israel's not going to fuck with you, at least yet, because they don't want to fucking piss off the Egyptians.
Yeah.
So
another thing that's kind of interesting to note is that the Egyptians have pointed out 10 days in advance that there was interesting activity, or what they believe to be interesting activity, that it should be something that Israel should look into, that Hamas was potentially going to do as attack. And I know this is like a weird case for them to actually, or for them actually telling the truth, but I came across like this random piece of information. I don't know why I think this is relevant, but there's a thing called Exercise Bright Star, which is a military exercise between Egypt and the U.S. So there is some formal agreement, cooperation between the nations themselves, between the U.S. and Egyptians.
Yeah.
So loosely speaking, that means that maybe Egypt isn't bullshitting about, like, because we're allies with Egypt, therefore there are technical allies. I'm referring to Egypt. Why wouldn't they tell them the truth if we're doing military exercises with them? Like, why would they deceive them?
Yeah, that's true. And here's my opinion in theory on Egypt is I think that Egypt is playing both sides. Obviously, they're joining BRICS, but they don't want to piss us off yet because they're still conducting and they're still trying to share intelligence and still kind of try to be. They haven't picked their side yet. They're on the fence, and I think they're waiting to see what the fuck happens.
I don't know if they're a prospective country that could join. I don't know if it's in fact that they are within the BRICS alliance.
Well, either way, they're trying to get in either way. So they're trying to get in with them. They're trying to maintain a relationship with us. And I think it's because they're like, we don't know who's going to come out on top of this whole deal, but we want to be on the side that comes out on top. I think that's their whole mentality of what they want to do, which, hey, you know what? That's cool, I guess. I get it. If you don't want to pick a side, but that's fucked up, you should pick a goddamn side if you want to be on it. But that's what they're doing, I think. And and that's the whole, like, what your point about them telling Israel about this potential attack that happened 10 days before it happened. It's one of those deals where everybody's been saying that this has been this huge intelligence failure on Mossad because Mossad is the Israeli CIA, for those that don't know. They've been saying it's this huge intelligence failure. How did they not see what was coming? Blah, blah, blah. I don't, in my own personal opinion, I don't believe for a second that the CIA or fucking Mossad did not fucking know that this was going to happen. I do not believe that essentially Mossad, who I would probably put, I don't know if they're number 2 in terms of intelligence agencies, but they're definitely top 5 intelligence agencies in the world. I would say.
Is that on your own opinion?
That's on that's on an opinion based on what I've seen and read and everything. And I would say that because they work so closely with the CIA, that's what elevates them in the rankings, because the CIA is for sure, at least in my opinion, they're the number 1 intelligence agency in the planet. Like, that's just the last 20 years of doing counterinsurgency has basically perfected that. I mean, obviously we won the Cold War. We came out on top of that, and they were heavily involved in fucking doing that and going, doing all the clandestine shit. So as far as clandestine intelligence gathering agencies go, I feel like the CIA is probably number 1 for sure. And Mossad is very, very closely linked and works with the CIA. So that would either put them, at least have access to the number 1 type of information or the top level information. So I do not think that for a second that they did not fucking see this coming. And especially if the Egyptian intelligence agent community found out that something was going on and they heard some weird chatter, I don't think the Egyptian intelligence agency, not to knock them or anything, but I mean, they're definitely not a top tier fucking intelligence agency. That's for sure. So I'm not saying that they're a low end tier, but they're not on the par level of CIA or MI5 or MI6 or whatever the British one's called. I don't think they're at that level, but they found out about this shit. So if they were able to find out,
that is interesting, because it's like, how easy was it for them to get access to this information? Like, if they are in the talks with other Arab nations,
right? Yeah,
that there's like I don't know if they're backstabbing, but.
Well, maybe. Well, who knows? Maybe they were told. Maybe they were given the information because, again, they knew that it was going to come out or whatever. But if because it's come out, because now it's making Israel look bad, because they've come out and said, "Hey, we told you guys this shit was happening," and that got leaked to the press, and it's been out there, and okay, that makes Israel look bad, because it's like, why didn't you guys do something about this when you were told, hey man, 10 days in advance this shit was going to happen? Why didn't you prepare? Why didn't you fucking set up your, what is happening over there?
I don't know. My phone just started playing an ad.
Oh, like for what? I don't know. Weird. Anyways, why didn't you do something about this? You had the intelligence. They passed it on to you, and you could have at least fortified the border. You could have. I mean, that's the minimum thing you could have done. But what it looks like happened is the fucking border was left essentially undefended, and these guys just walked right in. And that is where we get into my opinion. Okay, this is, again, for full disclosure, this is 100% just my opinion. I have no evidence that this is the truth other than anecdotal things and video that I've seen of the incident happening. I don't, like I said.
Josh got information from InfoWars.
Yeah, I got all my information from 4chan and InfoWars. All right, that's where I got it all from. I would look at this and say that this is like essentially Israel's Pearl Harbor, where, World War II, we knew Pearl Harbor was going to happen. We pulled out all of our good shit and we sacrificed that pawn to be able to enter the war. All right. I have a feeling that maybe they were like, hey, this will probably just be some little bullshit thing. Yeah, we're going to lose a few people. But I don't think that they expected it to go this bad. And so, yeah, they allowed it to happen.
Like Russia.
Yep, they allowed it to happen. But then it's like, oh shit, this turned into a fucking monster. And I think they did it so they could it would allow them and give them the pretext to go in and just wipe Gaza off the fucking planet and rebuild it from the ground up, which is essentially what they're now saying. The Israeli defense minister, who's essentially their secretary of defense, he came out and basically said that we are going to basically level every he said Gaza will become a tent city because we are going to level every single building in the town.
To the chagrin of fucking the UN and apparently Turkey, they are not down with them shutting off water, electricity, and supplies.
Yes,
being distributed to, because as I've come to learn, is that Israel essentially is like, they have checkpoints for like how things...
Right. Anything that goes in or out of Gaza goes through them, essentially.
Yeah.
And they have decided they control all the water, they control all the electricity, and they control all the distribution of food.
They also have an allocated portion of the... I don't know what body of water is directly next to Gaza itself, but there is a designated area for Palestinians to fish, and if they go beyond that, then
they fuck them up.
Yeah.
And so you look at that guy, the Israeli defense minister, also said that basically, we're dealing with animals, we're going to treat them like animals, and we're going to cut off the water, the power, and the food. And so now, say what you want as to whether that's warranted or unwarranted, but I mean, the fact remains that is an actual war crime. That is not a fucking an opinion. That is a fact. Cutting off water, food, and power, either one of those alone to a civilian population is a war crime.
The best part of that is that Turkey, of all people, decided to interject and say, we denounce these acts of inhumane bullshit, right? And it's like, bro, shut the fuck up. Like, you treat Syrians like shit. There's refugees within your own that you murder.
You do the same thing.
Or you displace.
Isn't it like that Turkey and the Germans are the only ones that can't talk shit about war because they both started world wars?
Basically. I mean, and here you go, talking shit.
And not to say that we're any fucking better, because we're no saints, but...
Well, right now we're winning, so yes, we are.
That's true. Yeah, in the context of the winners write the history books, yes, we are the good guys right now. We are the rebels, and we are fighting the fucking dirty empire. That's essentially what's happening. Now, if it goes the other way, then yes, we will have been the empire that everybody was fighting against, obviously.
But it is funny that the UN has said that they consider these acts inhumane, and some of them, I wish I looked at the person specifically. Yeah. They were referring to specific Geneva Convention guidelines codes that were...
And then here's the other weird part of that whole thing, what you're like talking about with the Geneva Convention, all that stuff, is so the Geneva Convention only applies essentially to flagged countries or recognized countries. It doesn't apply to a terrorist organization. It doesn't apply technically to any group that's not like a belligerent, like an actual country, or they have to be like a recognized belligerent somehow.
That's why pirates have no rights.
Right, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So like you can't violate the Geneva Convention. Like everybody's saying, oh, Hamas also it doesn't apply to them. So you couldn't hold them accountable.
They're not bound to the rules, but they are not protected by them.
True, but they're also not protected by them either. So that if you are Hamas and you are captured, well, you is like if Israeli technically captures someone and they are a recognized belligerent that by a war, I don't know, like by the rest of the world, or I don't know what the exact
term is.
Not term, but
so
the exact.
It's not even a nation of people. Like Palestinians themselves are not like a nation of people.
Well, okay, so like they are recognized as their own country but only by certain other countries. Not every country in the world, like the U.S., we don't recognize them as like another country or whatever. They're just
So if India decided that, you know, for all the Sikh people,
right,
like that want to form Khalistan, if they just wiped them out.
Well, technically,
they're like, well, we can't do shit about that, like, because they're not technically a recognized country.
Yeah, now they could go after them for like, you know, I don't know what it would be. They could go after them for crimes against humanity or something like that. Yeah. But you can't. It's not really a war crime to do that.
If you're not really a nation, it's not really a war.
Right. Now, doing it to just civilians, that's different. If you're doing it to actual active participants or belligerents, then that's when it becomes like, you know, a war. You have to uphold the Geneva Convention and all that stuff.
That's when warheads on foreheads happen.
Yeah, but then it's funny how like, oh, well, if let's say like I was going to make a terrorist organization, I would not be bound by the rules of the Geneva Convention because I'm not recognized as a participant or a member of the Geneva Convention. However, if I were to be captured by the U.S. government or whatever, they would have to treat me with the Geneva Convention. Like, they couldn't just fucking slaughter me. They are still bound by it, even though I am not, essentially, which puts them at a disadvantage, really, because that's kind of where it's at with this Israel thing as well. They would be at a disadvantage, but they are clearly not giving a fuck, and they're just killing everybody. They just are like, well, you killed everybody here, so...
Well, like I said, they've been doing that for 20 years.
I mean, they've been doing that for 100 years. They've been killing each other like this, so, you know, and then if you kind of look at this and think about, all right, where does this go from here? What's the next step? And I think with like what the part that's going to get sticky is like kind of what Adam was saying about the whole India and that Khalistan thing is if you apply that here, because who enforces the Geneva Convention or war crimes, right? There's no... Well, it's like, it'd be like the UN or whatever, right? Well, the UN doesn't have a military force.
Have a place where war criminals are judged?
Yeah, it's in Geneva, in Switzerland or whatever. The Hague. Oh, yeah, The Hague. But there's no military body to go in and say, hey, you got to stop doing this, right? Unless it's a country that decides that they want to impose their will and enforce that war crime on you or that Geneva Convention or whatever, right? So it would take some countries to get together and say, hey, you know what? We think Israel's violating the Geneva Convention, so we're going to go in and we're going to stop them, and you know we're gonna restore order and stop them from committing these atrocities. Essentially, when we went into Iraq, 20 years ago, we said, oh, Saddam Hussein, A, he has weapons of mass destruction, but B, he's committing all these crimes against humanity against his fucking population. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna stop him from doing that, right? Well, we did it because we could.
Yeah, we stayed silent for Gaddafi.
Well, yeah, true. But if you look at, but that's the point that I'm making is that if you go in, no one's going to enforce the war crimes unless they have the will to do it. It's going to be, so that's where we're going to get sticky in this situation here is if these countries in the Middle East that recognize Palestine as an actual country are going to come in and say, well, these are war crimes that you're committing and you are killing all these civilians, so we're going to come in and we're going to stop you. Then us being Big Daddy US, no, is likely we are going to say, no, you can't do that. And then they're going to say, well, who are you to tell us? And then that's when shit's going to pop off. And this will become a broader conflict. Now, a lot of people that I've been talking to or hearing listen or hearing talk about this subject, I was in a Twitter or X or whatever the fuck it's called now. I was in an X Spaces thing earlier, and I was trying to talk because I wanted to ask if anybody had, but there was like 100,000 people in this fucking thing, so like there was no way I was gonna get to fucking speak. So I had put my thing to raise my hand to talk because I just wanted to ask if anybody understood or knew the historical significance of this with what we had kind of talked about earlier on the podcast and going into the history of it, because no one was mentioning anything about that. And there was a lot of, the guy who was running it was trying to keep it like civil or whatever, where it wasn't, don't get into ideologies or who's right or who's wrong. Let's just report on facts and history here. Let's not get down the rabbit hole, I guess, of personal opinions and whatnot. Mm-hmm. So, but everybody who's in there who was talking about it, they were asking people that were asking questions about, oh, where does it go from here or what? People were some of them were optimistic in the sense that they thought that this is just going to be contained to Israel. And I don't share that optimism, in my opinion, because eventually, as the Israelis are going to be bombing and continuing to, unfortunately, as they're doing this, civilians are going to die. That's just kind of an unfortunate fact of war, right?
And indirectly, the blood of Palestinians will be on U.S. hands because of the weapons that we're supplying.
Yeah, well,
that further will ingrain other nations that are in alignment with Palestine to further hate us.
Right, correct. And further hate us and further have the will to then fight us or fight the Israelis. And then in proxy, they're going to have to fight us because we're going to have to get involved. There's going to be no other ifs, ands, or buts about it. We will fucking come in and save the day because that's what we do, especially with Israel, who we've invested a lot of equipment and money in, and we're not just going to let that shit go to waste. So, I don't know. That's all it's going to take is just one of those other countries to come in, and really, it may not even take that if this two-front war that Israel's kind of starting to now fight within its own country, if that starts to go sideways, we may have to step in and help them fight Hezbollah and Hamas, which, again, that's basically what we've done for the last 20 fucking years.
Not directly.
Yeah, we've done it counterinsurgency style is kind of what I'm getting at. So, yes, we will basically come and input our counterinsurgency manual on them and help them out. But then that's going to get everybody else even more riled up because then they're like, oh, the U.S. is involved now. And so then what are they going to do? I don't know. We're obviously sending the aircraft carrier group there as a deterrent. We're going to probably end up sending another one there.
It still feels, if we're coming across from the perspective of the other groups, that is pretty threatening, dude.
Oh, the United States aircraft carrier group is the most threatening thing you can do. That is the most threatening move we can make without actually destroying you. Because we're saying, hey, we're putting the thing that's going to cause your destruction, we're just going to leave it here. And we can send it from wherever, and in 4 to 7 days, it'll be there. And it'll be waiting for you. If you fuck around, this will make sure you find out. And not only do we have, this one coming, but we're going to send another one. Just so we can additionally fuck more of you up at the same time. Because realistically, an aircraft carrier group has probably the capability to force project and bomb multiple countries just by itself. I mean, especially in the Middle East.
How many aircrafts would it have?
Well, they have a whole air wing.
Depends on
it does depend
carrier.
on which carrier it is. The Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford is our current biggest one.
Okay, how many does it hold?
It depends on the planes.
And what do they carry? Does it carry F-35s?
Yes.
Well, no, I think they have F-18s.
F-35 will be the highest ones we could send. The F-22s can't go on carriers.
All right, so they have 90 fucking combat aircraft on there.
Okay, but so, what is that? They don't disclose which ones they are.
Most likely,
yeah,
like
it looks
said,
like okay.
F-18s.
Oh no, you know what? Okay, so it does say so they do have some F-35s, and then they mainly have F/A-18s, the Super Hornets. That's their main fighter bomb. It's a fighter bomber.
Is that like an overall fighter?
It's like a general purpose type aircraft. It's
honestly, it was our first multi-role vehicle.
Yeah, multi-role. That's the word. They got a couple of the E-2 aircraft, which are the ones that go up and they basically provide they're like the command and control center. And then they have the EA-18 Growler, that's the one that's the electronic warfare aircraft, which shuts down everything with radar and all that stuff.
Okay.
And so you've got 90 aircraft capable of essentially, which the majority of those, probably 95% of them are actual combat strike aircraft. So alone with just that, you could literally bomb probably 3 to 4 countries at the same time in the Middle East with all that shit, and likely level most of their major population centers with just that one aircraft carrier.
And also remember, with our whole logistical system that we have set up, we can send bombers from, let's just call it the East Coast, and within 2 or 3 days they're going to be they're going to be anywhere on that side of the world within 2 days with all the fuel they need to drop their payloads and come back.
Well, I mean, and really, if you send, let's just say we're going to send, like the stealth bombers over there or whatever, or even the B-52s, I mean, they can fly continuously for fucking 48 to 72 hours.
And on top of that, we have our fucking refuelers.
Right, and our refuel station, our aircraft refuelers are all over the place, and, we
all right.
They can, I mean, so essentially, we have the capability within 48 hours, if we wanted to, we could level a country. I mean, no doubt, in the Middle East, for sure. So
especially if you don't have to worry about, man, is that guy an insurgent? I don't know.
If those rules of engagement have now changed, which Israel is changing the game on rules of engagement right now, because they're just basically blowing up buildings that they say, oh, we know that the head of some Hamas fucking cell is there. Take the building, blow the building, and they will destroy an entire 10-story apartment building just to kill that one guy. And maybe he's in there, maybe he's not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, you just destroyed 10 stories worth of apartments just to get this one dude. Just imagine how many other motherfuckers. Oh, all that collateral damage. But they're not giving a fuck. They're just saying, no, we're ending Hamas right now. Like, that's what they're doing. They're ending that organization.
Dude, I mean,
you're not going to ever end it because it's an ideology.
Dude, you're going to make fucking ISIS 3.0.
Oh, fucking ISIS 10.0. It's going to be ISIS to the extreme, because then not only are they going to have their own reasons for doing it, but then you're going to have emboldened every other Muslim in the entire Middle East to join and to fight against who they've already been hating and saying is their oppressor, is the Israelis. So, you're going to create a fucking monster. And this is where, and that's where, again, it also gets sticky or sketchy, is if you're going to create that monster, you have to then take the fucking initiative. And if you know you're going to create this fucking monster, you're not going to be able to kill them all. Some of them are going to get away. Then you got to go after them. And what do you got to do when you go after them? You got to go into other countries and get them. And so if you're going to go get them, other countries are going to get pissed that you're coming in and doing stuff. Well, fuck, might as well just go in and get the rest. Might as well go in and just take that country down. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Might as well.
I mean, if you're going to go in there and you're going to piss them off, might as well start taking some fucking territory while you're at it.
Yeah.
I mean,
shit, dude, even amongst Muslims, they hate each other, at least. Like,
yeah.
Just by reading about the Lebanese, like, I don't think the Sunnis and Shiites like each other either. So it's look
at
no, they don't. Yeah.
I lost it.
Well,
oh no, it was remember The Simpsons when Willie was talking. Oh yeah, was it boys and girls have been natural enemies since the dawn of time? Like just like this and that and that, and Scottish. Like he's saying that everyone hates the Scottish. He's going just like them and Scottish and other Scottish people. He goes, well, you Scots sure are. You guys are sure like to make enemies. He goes, them's fighting words, Skinner.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's one of the reasons why I don't think that the Muslim or Arab nations have actually been able to eradicate Israel, is because they've never been able to get on the same page enough to actually do something about it. Because when they do, you have like the Yom Kippur War, you have the 7-Day War, when basically every fucking country in the Middle East attacked Israel, and Israel beat them all back and made them fucking quit within 7 fucking days.
Yeah.
So if those guys could get together and fucking get their shit together, and granted, there were other factors as to why that didn't work, but if they could legit get their shit together and actually have a unified command and go in and fucking attack Israel, Israel wouldn't stand a fucking chance. Yeah. Because they're so heavily outnumbered that, like we were talking about in the Ukraine, there is a number of Russians in that country that it won't matter what you give them technologically. It's going to be too many numbers. You're going to be so overwhelmed that you're just going to lose. You're all going to die. So that's kind of what would happen if the Middle East could get its shit together and just go after Israel if they wanted.
Yeah.
So
on top of a potential new super group of ISIS.
Yeah.
In conjunction with that, like if there were leftovers within the Palestinian encampments or whatever.
Yeah.
Or if they flee to other parts of the Arab nations and shit. I don't know, man. I think that's what's at stake here.
Yeah, it is, and one of the reasons also kind of why I think that Iran is being kind of given the nod to be like kind of the head top G or whatever you want to call them in the Middle East is by China, is because Iran is the closest government or organized country that aligns with ISIS's what they want in enforcement, with the Sharia law, with everything, right? They're not, I don't think Iran is as extreme as what ISIS wants, but it's the closest they can get in an organized religion, or an organized government, I should say, in terms of, ISIS, part of the whole thing of what they want was like heavy, in no interpretation of Sharia law. As it's written, that is what it shall be. That's basically what they want. One of their things. They obviously want their Muslim religion to be the whole fucking, that's it on the world. They don't want nobody else to worship any other things. They want to get rid of all the infidels, blah, 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 all that stuff. But Iran is like the closest government to kind of what they want. So if you're going to unite the Middle East under one banner, you've got all these zealots and all these, religious, I don't know, I guess zealots was the right word. If you've got these hardcore fucking people that are willing to do whatever the fuck it takes, and they're like, you're not being extreme enough, so that's why we're rebelling against you all, because we want you to be more extreme. If you have Iran running the show, they if anybody could get those guys in line, it'd probably be Iran, like the Ayatollah, which is like, I mean, for lack of a better term, he's just kind of like the Pope of the Middle East, like but he's also the president,
What are the Simpsons called? The Ayatollah Rock and Rolla?
No, it's Chris Jericho.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, where it continues to go from here could be a lot of different things could happen, but I do foresee that someone else is eventually going to jump on board, and I don't know who. I can't predict who it's going to be first, but when that happens, we're getting involved, and then my opinion.
It's going to be when the surprise villain comes out, the Hulk Hogan from the NWO or whatever. It's going to be like,
it's fucking England, and
then you add Kurt Angle to the mix.
Oh man,
no, it's fucking it's the secret Nazis that escaped and been living in Antarctica for the last 40 years.
Oh yeah, why we're not allowed to go there? Yeah, they come out and they save the day. Oh man, that'd be fucking hilarious. I mean, God, what else? What else could possibly have happened? It's either the aliens or the fucking. Oh man,
the aliens started to test us.
And yeah, I mean, and again, it is convenient also that all that shit with aliens just happened like recently, and then now this goes down. And I know I've seen that meme a bunch of times about like, God, as a quote unquote millennial, it's like, God, I wish I could just go 1 week without having a potential world changing event happen or whatever. And I mean, yeah, I kind of do agree with that. I do think that the major events have definitely fucking increased exponentially, and maybe it's because I wasn't paying attention earlier, like in the early 2000s as much, like when I was a kid, and really wasn't even paying attention when I was in my mid-20s. But now that I'm in my mid-30s, basically, I don't know if it's because I'm paying attention more, or if there actually is fucking more events that are potentially world changing happening at the same time.
I've also become desensitized. I'm like,
True,
now we're like, okay, now we expect more disaster to happen.
Yeah, like when I saw this first get reported, I was like,
not surprising.
Figures. Yeah, that's exactly what I said. I said, oh yeah, that figures. And I was like, well, let me see if there's any live videos. And then I went on, and found, of course, all the fucking, live streams of those dickheads running across Israel and doing all kinds of horrible shit. But yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, no, this tracks. This is about right. We were due for another fucking. Yeah. It had been 6 months. We were fucking due.
We haven't met our quota for 2023 of disasters.
Yeah, exactly.
I know we haven't. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, but have you been seeing all the memes that have been coming out about the emergency alert system?
Yeah.
Well, apparently somebody posted this one, and it turned out to be true. Was that yesterday, U.S. Emergency Alert reportedly caused several Amish people to be shunned by exposing them for owning phones. And then a TikToker, I actually follow this guy too. He was ex-Amish and he left the order. Yeah. He just did a video talking about, that actually happened.
Get fucked.
Damn. That's fucking hilarious.
Some bitch.
They're like when they hear it go off, they just all look at each other and, oh, you son of a bitch.
Can you imagine old Jebediah trying to hammer in
Jebediah, nice name, dude.
Yeah, that is a good pull.
Trying to hammer in something, and then you just, I like big butts again.
Oh, Shoresy 6 or Shoresy Season 2 just dropped.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh, wait
a minute.
Oh, no, it's Siri. Goes, you have just received a message from side chick B. Yes, Daddy, I would like to have you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, fucking, I don't know, man. I don't know. Who knows what the fuck's gonna happen? But whatever. It'll be interesting to see what the fuck goes down. And you know,
I do want to add.
Oh yeah.
I think the topic itself has become something that people are enveloped in, that that they fully immerse themselves in, not knowing the full. I mean, for you to to spell things out in the manner that you have in explicit detail. I mean, even you might not know the full fucking scope of it.
Yeah.
But there's other people that are just taking things at face value.
Yes, yeah.
And then they're also taking this as like a hill to die on for their careers, which Mia Khalifa has done. Yeah. Unbeknownst to her, it actually ended up costing her fucking her platform for Playboy.
And that's where I don't understand why this has to be like that, because this is a major historical event, regardless of what side you choose or what side you want to support, which I just want to say and make it clear in this, I support the American side, all right? Like, the United States, that's what I support.
I do not have an opinion on the matter.
Yeah, and honestly...
And I don't think I'm informed enough to have an opinion on it either.
Even me going and doing some more research and kind of doing above and beyond in terms of like looking stuff up to find out how this has been happening or how we got to this point, I still don't necessarily have an opinion. I have not come to an opinion about which side is right or which side is wrong. I have not chosen a side, but I do know that whatever happens ain't going to be good. That's for sure. This will continue and further devolve the relations that are in the Middle East. That is what this is.
Even here, dude. Like, I think people are so indoctrinated, maybe with their own faith and maybe amongst their own community, that they were willingly going to protest if Israeli people were, if people of Jewish faith that were obviously sympathetic towards Israel itself were in a public space to showcase their opinion or what they believe, that there will be another group, a pro-Palestinian group that will show up in retaliation to these guys,
counter them,
just to be there, to show that they're not going to take their shit either. Like, I mean, it's crazy, dude. Like that, I just can't believe that even in the U.S., dude, that we're picking sides and we're not even fucking overseas.
Well, and the people that are fighting this hill to die on type mentality or attitude, a lot of them likely they're not even affected by this really, or have no one in their lives that are directly affected by this. Like you said, one of their family members getting kidnapped or killed or whatever. They likely don't even have that. So it just doesn't make sense why people, well, it does make sense because it's about ideology. It's about, it's not about this country versus these people or these two countries fighting each other. It's about this religion versus that religion. And once you fucking throw those things together, then shit gets ugly. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I've seen some of those protests and I've watched some videos from those things, and those people, it's like, you're a Jew and I hate you, and you're a Muslim and I hate you. And that's kind of how it goes. Here's an excuse for us to yell at each other.
Yeah. I think people show up to those things looking for problems, dude. They're looking for an excuse to punch somebody that's a Jew or the other way around.
Yeah. I think that's a double-edged sword because they're doing that, and at the same time, we're just thirsty to swing at a motherfucker.
True.
But,
and I wanted to...
Well, let Adam finish this point.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so I just think that people that show up to those protests are looking for a fucking excuse to exercise their demons to fucking throw hands over this problem.
Dude, when I was going to school for HVAC, there's this one dude in my class. He remember the fucking riots that were going on?
The Occupy movement or the 2020 riots?
The ones after those, the Black Lives Matter ones.
That's what I was saying.
2020 ones, yeah.
No, the ones, like the very first ones, the ones when they were just starting here in California.
Okay.
there was one happening, and like he straight told me, "Oh yeah, I don't support that shit, but I want to be part of it." He has videos of him shirtless, just fucking running around with people talking shit.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
You know what I'm saying? Like he didn't even believe in it; he just wanted to be part of it.
Yeah, he was looking for a reason to fucking bullshit or to smash some rocks through some windows. I guess.
My
right?
mentality.
I'm just here for the violence.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't do anything like that. He was just being. He was just being an idiot out there. Like he wasn't actually like doing property damage and that shit.
I'm just here for stupidity.
I'm just here to run around shirtless and yell things.
It's this Family Guy joke where he's like, they're all singing "Happy Birthday" to Stewie. He goes, "Blow out your candles," and here's Peter's equal attention cake, and he blows out his, and then blows out Stewie's. Yeah. Yay, 2 wishes. That's how I always feel about those people.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a number of white Karens thinking about how they can turn this into
about them.
Turn this situation.
They're either to make themselves look good or to help in the pyramid schemes.
Hey, you know what would be funny is if there was like a Karen that went to fucking Hamas and said, "Hey, I want to talk to your manager or your supervisor.
I want to talk to your supervisor.
I don't like the way you're treating these Israelis. I want to talk to your supervisor." And then they
one of the funny ones I saw about that too was a college sorority or some shit.
Yeah.
And they were all like lesbians, and they had a big old sign that says "Lesbians for Palestine."
Yeah,
and I'm like,
knowing that they would fucking kill them.
They would kill you immediately.
Yeah.
First of all, you're not wearing a hijab. Secondly, you're gay. Oh yeah, you're getting. Yeah, they'll just kill you immediately.
It's like, fuck, man.
That's fucking. That's fucking ironic. It's like.
Well,
it's like chicken supporting fucking Popeye's chicken, dude.
Yeah.
Like to continue that point, I remember I saw this one. It was fucking great because you know how there's this whole stupid socialism movement happening here in the U.S. where people are starting to accept communism and all that shit. And someone posted a picture of all of them like lined up on the wall, kneeled, and their hands cupped, and the Russians are right behind them. And one of them's like, "Excuse me, comrade, when do we get equal health care?" It's like he's totally gonna look at him like,
like that ain't a thing. That's funny. Oh man,
what do you got?
Wait, let me see if I had anything else. You guys got anything else to discuss? Any topics that you may have?
Well, someone introduced the greatest fucking thing ever, and I sent it to you, and you agreed.
Which one?
The F-22 14 Tomcat.
Oh yeah, man, the F-22 Tomcat. Yeah, that was fucking sweet as shit, man. I wish that was real.
Yeah,
I don't think it is. I don't think it would ever be. I don't know if that would work.
I don't think there's a fish. I think there's a reason why they went from the was it what they call vertile wings, or whatever.
Oh, the VTOL, the vertical takeoff and landing.
No, the wings that can adjust.
Oh, well, that was like the Tomcat. I don't know.
They're
supersonic. Yeah,
we went away from those.
Well, I think the aerodynamics of aircraft changed, and that we didn't really need that anymore. One of the things that I had written down was about I don't know if you guys saw this, but FEMA. You know that whole thing that happened in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah, the fires?
Yeah, all the fires and shit. Okay, regardless of whatever you think your opinion is.
The Rock did it.
the Rock did it.
I did it for the Rock.
Shut your mouth, you thong-wearing fatty.
FEMA, they held this press conference regarding the whole issue and the response and everything. And it turned out that all the reporters were just their employees that they made fake questions. They literally made a fake fucking press conference
just to paint themselves in a positive
better light. And they got caught doing it. And then they were like, and then they just basically just said, I don't know what you're talking about. And they just fucking, it's like that scene from Chappelle's Show when he knocks the fucking, tell him about oil, and he knocks the thing over and he runs and he's like, get out of here. Like, everybody get out of here. Like, that's fucking the water. Yeah, that's basically what they did.
Who said anything about oil?
Yeah, you cooking?
Yeah, bitch, you cooking? Come on,
bro. We gotta go do this. We gotta do that. We gotta get the
So there was that, and then I didn't write down where it happened, and I fucking totally forgot. But there was this dude, I'm sure you saw it, that he was like this hardcore like social justice advocate guy that
you talking about the one that got stabbed?
He got stabbed to death, yeah.
And then his friend said,
and then the girl, the chick who was his girlfriend that was with him when it happened, I watched the video of it, and it was fucked up, man. That girl, I mean, granted, maybe she shouldn't have. She did not help him at all. Like, she didn't even call 911. Like, she didn't do shit. She just stood there and left him. Well, she stood there and watched him basically die. And then she has the fucking nerve to request the police to drop the charges against the guy that killed. And I'm like, oh my God.
Because she said he would see him as a victim of a broken system.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
As he bled on the streets.
Yeah, man, that's I thought that was wild. I'm like, Jesus Christ. What is happening? You know? But that was pretty much it. That was pretty much all I had.
Yeah. What about Hillary Clinton wanting to make education camps now for the extremists that they consider the right extremists?
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, she wants to make a re-education camps.
Like, what do you mean? Like summer camp for Trump supporters?
Yep.
And then you get re-educated into wanting to eat soy and...
Not to eat soy. Soy is a luxury item now. It's going to be roach meat.
Oh, that's right. The bugs. Yeah, you got to eat the bugs. That's the new thing I've been seeing, too. Eating the bug, yeah. And then you'll eat the Soylent Green, which is, the fucking dead people. The ultimate goal.
Well, that's not worse than Warhammer 40K. The dead humans get turned into a protein bar.
That makes sense. I mean, that's efficient, right? I mean, for the Imperium.
I'm not really familiar with the Warhammer lore.
Dude, it's so fucking crazy.
It is intense, dude. It's honestly, we could do an episode about it. Like,
no, I was thinking about doing a whole documentary journey of me learning the entire Warhammer fucking lore.
Yeah.
Just like starting from page 1. So let's see. The God Emperor and then 40,000 emperors. Go, boys, go jump!
Yeah. 4 weeks later, it's that thing from the Covenant, when they're like, "And we shall die for the Emperor." Like, they're all like chanting and shit.
The orcs like,
oh yeah,
we use the jump. Fucking the orcs are so fucking amazingly awesome. Their story, I mean, in the fucking Warhammer 40K universe, they have the most powerful broken ability, but they're so fucking dumb they can't use it.
That's fucking great. I've thought about getting into Warhammer 40K. It's too expensive though, but I thought about it.
Yeah, you give the thought. That's what counts.
Yeah, and I mean, really, maybe we can make that a business expense, is playing Warhammer 40K, and then we could do it as a thing on the podcast. It's a military role playing kind of game, so like that would be interesting probably for people who like this shit.
I suck at StarCraft, so I'm not invested.
I don't know enough about Warhammer to say if your statement is accurate or not.
Yeah, I don't think that's because it's like the little miniature guys. Like,
yeah, but I don't know
but it's the same concept. It's like
it's
real time strategy, right?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know enough about it.
I think so. I think it's like real time strategy.
All right, but
like with the little guys.
Everything.
The only thing that I don't like is you got to paint them. Like, that's fucking such a pain in the ass, man.
I know I don't have an artistic hand. I have a steady hand, but can I paint between the lines? Fuck no.
No, man.
Apparently that's all you need is a steady hand. They say, like, your miniatures don't have to look great. They just have to look colored.
Good enough.
They're all going to be one color. I'm going to dip them all in one fucking color and then just be like, this is my fucking guy.
Yeah.
Red. Here you go. They're all red.
Yeah, all your
because each like faction has a color. Each Space Marines like unit has like a color. So it's like, oh, this one's the toxic ones. I think they're green. I'd be like, all green dip. Yeah. Here you go.
My final thoughts are civilization, humanity was a failure. We need to go back to being a monkey.
You know what? I think you might be fucking right.
At least we were flinging crap at each other, not missiles.
I don't think we need to go back that far. I think we just need to go back to child labor. The children, they earn for the mines.
They yearn for the mines.
Yeah, no, I'm still down with being a monkey.
I mean, that would be fucking a lot. I mean, really, all you're doing is just flinging shit and fucking all day. Like, that's really...
Yeah, but no internet.
Yeah, but no internet.
All right, if you can fling your own shit at people for fun and then just fuck things, you don't need the internet, right?
Yeah,
or conveniently, if the aliens can pick this time to show up and say, "Hey,
we're gonna turn you
guys are fucking up like royally."
Yeah.
Here's how you fix your world so that you can join the Intergalactic Federation.
Yeah.
That may potentially be out there, or they're the enemy, and we all just unite and
kill them.
Yes,
and then that's the two options. That'd be cool. Well, I still think that the Middle East will never, even in that sense, they would stop for like the few years it took to do that, then they'd go right back.
What do you think? People of just people of religious faith, would they then cease to be religious if aliens came down, or they would just be like, no, fuck that.
Well, okay, so in my humble opinion, I think it depends on which religions we're talking about. Catholics would be like, oh no, it says right here in this Bible that we're interpreting, aliens are real. It's always been real.
They're either angels or demons.
And they're going to say, and they're all Catholic too, by the way, just to let you know. They all love Jesus. They all respect the Pope.
They all love Jesus.
That's what the Catholics would do. The Muslims would probably like kind of try to feel them out and see like kind of what they were about first, but then they would likely,
well, that's the thing,
do some sort of,
if any religion could adapt to it, would be Catholicism, because they're the one that believes that God's true plan is vaster than we can imagine.
True.
Like, that's why they believe evolution is part of God's great plan.
Right, yeah, that's how they factored the science into the religion. And so I think the Muslims would probably say that they're like demons of fucking Satan or whatever, and they would try to kill them. I don't know about Jewish. I don't know what the fuck they would think. I think they probably just wouldn't even care, to be honest. They'd probably just be like, this doesn't affect me either way, But to me, it does poke a lot of fucking holes, or at least raise a lot of questions about your fucking religious beliefs.
I think it makes a lot of religions like null and void.
Well, I agree. I think it makes me go, you still believe in the magic sky guy, but here's these dudes. How do you fit these guys into the problem?
The thing I want to know is if the aliens would join what faction.
Like which religious faction they would join?
No, what fucking wrestling faction would they join?
Oh, the aliens?
Yeah, like if they could jump at any point in history and insert themselves.
There's only two. There's only two options.
Would they want to be in Evolution? Would they want to be in Judgment Day?
No, they're either going to
the Nation of Domination.
No, definitely not the Nation. They're either going to the NWO or they're going to DX, because they just want to crotch chop, which I think is probably the reason, and they really want to just too sweet each other all the time. I think that's because the aliens should have enough fingers to be able to do that.
That's true.
And also, the shirts are cool as fuck, and who doesn't want to tell everybody to suck your dick? Well, I don't know, whatever their equivalent of that would be, but I'm sure they have, like from that South Park, it's like, oh, he's stroking my jag-on, or whatever the fuck you're saying. Fucking, that's what it would be. Suck my jag on. And
man, I would honestly, if there are aliens, like I hope intergalactic diplomacy's on the table.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I'm down to hang out with some aliens, dude.
Dude, I would love to have an alien on the podcast. That'd be the fucking coolest shit ever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, granted,
what do you guys smoke over there, dude?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. What
space weed.
How do you guys get high? Like, do you have an equivalent of getting high?
Yeah, do you guys have wrestling, dude?
Oh shit. Yeah. What do you guys do for fucking fun?
Yeah.
I mean, shit, do you guys jerk off a lot? Like, I'd be curious to know about that. Like, have you guys heard of this thing called the Fleshlight? Like, I don't know. What's alien porn look like?
Yeah, do you guys have online gameplay down?
Yeah, exactly. Do you have 3D video games? Like, what do you guys got? Do you even have fucking video games?
Yeah.
Fucking, that'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Right,
well, what are your final thoughts?
Well, my final thoughts are to just remind everyone that we're fucking retarded, so don't fucking take the conversation we just had should prove. Don't take what we fucking say.
I think you speak for humanity in general. We're all fucking stupid.
We're all stupid as shit. So don't fucking take anything that we say as fucking pure fact. Do your own goddamn fucking research and look it up. I was trying to help you out by at least pointing you in the right fucking direction, but I don't want to hear no shit from anybody about you're fucking this or you're that. No. I'm just trying to bring you the facts, and we're putting out some opinions, yes, but I don't want to hear no bullshit. We're fucking idiots. We've given you this fucking disclaimer 1,000 times, so I would hope by now that people understand that this is what it is. But yeah, I would just like to say that and clarify. My earlier statement that I made about Iran. I would like to say, not clarify it, but I would like to quantify it.
Every time you say Iran, just think about that joke from the Fat Electrician. I mean the verb, the country, not the verb. I'm too fat for that shit.
Yeah, I would like to just say, quantify it by, I'm not saying the Iranian people as a whole, right? I'm saying the government, all right? The people who make the decisions. That's what I'm talking about. Just like I'm sure.
It's how we treat people who, universally, we treat politicians or like people of that area as no longer being part of the
populace.
Body. Yeah.
Well, because again, I think that like with our own country, I think most people realize how out of touch their politicians, the people who make the decisions are, how removed they are from the people who vote them in office.
They make $173,000 a year, yet their net worth goes up by 40 million every time they join the fucking Congress.
And that was another thing that I forgot that brings me up to a very good thing as a final thought for people to think about. The Congress people who are like, they track and watch what kind of trades they make, heavily invested in defense contractors prior to this right before this happening.
Real convenient.
Real fucking convenient.
I hope it's from both sides, so we know that, collectively, both parties are both shitty.
It is. They're both shitty, and they both take advantage of the information that they are given about shit that's going to happen, and they make trades. And that's how like Frank said,
they threw money at war.
Oh yeah, all the
bonds?
the defense contracting companies.
Okay, so they put it all in fucking Lockheed and
like those type of deals. I forget. There's a couple other ones that they were specifically investing in.
That's fucking insider trading.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. They do it all the time.
It's been going on for years, dude.
Yeah, they do it all the time. That's how you get from making $173,000 a year to $40-50 million, like a year of your net worth or whatever. Because you don't get that by just being a government, senator or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I thought that was fucking. I saw that today on there's this guy on what is it, Instagram or X?
There's a program out there that you can do.
Yeah, there's this dude. He's called Unusual Whales, and like he has his own like.
Oh yeah.
He has his own fucking like algorithm that he uses that he tracks their trades and stuff.
Yeah, I think it also keeps track of Bitcoin movement as well.
Yeah,
like the largest accounts.
Yeah, it does that on all the bigger cryptocurrency, cryptocurrencies too. So I follow them on stuff, and I like their shit because it's funny because they like say, how convenient like that this happened, or like oh, what a coincidence, everybody.
Yeah.
That they had Nancy Pelosi just happened to drop all of her stock in fucking Nvidia right before the whole Taiwan thing started happening or going down. So it's like how interesting.
Yeah.
So it's funny. It's crazy.
Fun.
And yeah, I would just like to say that I think the Iranian people are nice people. They're good people. But the government, fuck them all. All right. So I think everybody can agree with that. You got any final thoughts, Frank?
No.
All right. Well, anyways, if you listened to the end here, an hour and a half almost, or just about, we thank you. We appreciate it. And do your best to follow us. I won't be a dickhead like Adam said on his Instagram earlier about people that fucking pander for likes and shit.
But that was music specific.
Yeah, I know, but you can apply it to everything else. And I don't think I do that when we I don't post like, hey, follow us and shit. I just post a clip of this and a clip of the fucking a picture or a thing from the episode. Like I'll take a clip and do that.
Yeah.
I'm not literally posting, hey, please give us a follow. So I'm not doing that shit. But
yeah.
I thought it was funny that I saw that earlier and I laughed. I had a good fucking.
If only people knew that it was all kayfabe. Like, if they actually are listening,
right? Yeah,
it's all for the sake of me shit stirring.
Yeah.
And that's all there really is to it. I think it provides a source of it because the reality is that I believe people love smut.
Yeah,
they love fucking drama and all that shit. And that's all I'm trying to provide for them is that.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I know this is off. This will be saved for another fucking podcast that we'll probably do for I don't know, like the BFN one or the music one. I don't know. We've already talked about this. So,
right. It would be good to talk about on the BFN for sure. So if you want to hear us talk shit about people, well, eventually we're going to do the haters episode of BFN.
Play haters ball, dude.
Play haters ball. It's going to be excellent. So listen to that if you want to hear us talk shit about people and things we hate. But anyways, if you enjoy our stuff and you like us and you listen to us consistently, which I know there's some of you motherfuckers out there that do, because I can see the analytics.
Shout outs to Belgium.
Yep, shout out to Belgium, right? Love you guys. Fucking the people in Ireland that listen now.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Fucking love Irish coffee. Fucking all that good shit.
Bailey's.
So delicious. So thanks for fucking listening. And go and just follow us on our stuff at Game Rage Magazine on.
Yes. And one other thing to add is like stay informed.
Yeah.
And try to make an informed opinion about things, or try also to maintain objectivity in your opinions as well, to see things from both sides. Like, please do that. Do not fall in the echo chambers of the internet or anything like that. Please think for yourself.
Exactly. And don't take our word for it. Don't take someone else's word for it. Do your own fucking research and come to your own conclusion about things. So anyways, you can follow us at Game Rage Magazine on Twitter on X. God damn it. Game Rage Magazine. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok, which is the Chinese spy app. And then you can follow us on at Game Rage Mag on X. So also you can go to our website, GameRageMagazine.com. Check us all out there. Thank you guys for listening. And I guess that's it for us. We'll fucking see you on the next one.
That was the latest episode of the Central Unintelligence Podcast. Don't forget, subscribe and like on Instagram and TikTok at Game Rage Magazine. We're also on Twitter /X at Game Rage Mag. Also our website, www.GameRageMagazine.com.